Hello, what's going on, everybody? I decided to go live and put in one of those hold screens for a minute. So let me know if you could hear me. I know we have Solomon, One Weight, and Julie on. I think it is working. I heard myself through the headphones there. Today we're going to do a keyword research demo. We're going to use KWFinder, one of my favorite keyword research tools. Relaxation is also on. Let me know where you're from. Julie says she's out of Puerto Rico. So I'm out of Colorado here, Longmont, Colorado. It's near Boulder. It's pretty nice. I enjoy it here. I'm down in the basement. It's a warm day today. It's something like 97 or so. So pretty warm day today. So I'm down in the basement, which is wonderful. And then I will go over the demo. So KWFinder is a tool that I've used for a few years, and they've made it sort of better and better as time has gone on. So I'm going to run through some of my favorite features, and I'm an affiliate. I actually have a discount code in the description. You can save 10%. I believe they have a free trial as well. So you could check it out for however long the trial is. I'm not sure. But I like the tool a lot. I think it does, most of the things that you need, and there are some great features which I'll point out specifically. Now, one thing that I often do is I'll point out for everyone that you don't necessarily have to use a keyword research tool, but it's very helpful to have like some data. What I caution people on is using a free keyword research tool, or using a tool like Uber suggests, and only using the free version, where they strip away a lot of the data and it makes it really difficult to use and actually get the information that you need. It's kind of like working without all of the information that's available to you. So I don't think you have to use a keyword research tool, but it's really helpful. Even if you don't want to have an ongoing subscription, like using a tool for a little while, like a month or two, probably will give you enough keywords to build a site, have a pretty big, significant site. So, in fact, one of the other tools that I've tested recently, you could check out the live stream from last week. It was Keyword Chef, and there's like 1,000 free credits on that. And I made the point last week, you probably could find enough keywords to keep you busy for a year with 1,000 keywords, like the number of credits you get for free. Sure, not all those keywords are going to be viable, but you could end up with a few hundred keywords, which should most likely keep you busy for a little while. Even if you had unlimited funds, there's a good chance that it would take you several months to publish 200, 300 articles, for example. So we have one path. You could hear me. Jimmy is on. Need Mo Fishin', and Jimmy from the UK. Relaxation is out of Morocco. So welcome. Thanks, folks, for coming on live. If you're watching the replay later, I appreciate it. You can leave a comment below and let me know where you're from. Need Mo Fishin' says, does this tool have a feature where I can upload my own list of keywords and find the keyword difficulty and the estimated search volume? Yeah, almost all of the tools will do that, and I'll take a quick look and show you how to do that as well. Maybe we could do that early on. So quick favor, hit the thumbs up if you are able to, which you probably should be able to. So appreciate it if you do that. It helps people find the video in the future. Okay. I'm not going to beat around the bush too much here. If you have any suggestions for niches, feel free to type them in the chat. It's good to get some input. There's a couple things that I am struggling with, so I always say I'm going to tell some stories. One thing I'm dealing with right now is in our backyard. I noticed yesterday there were a lot of yellow jackets congregating on the gravel area. So we have some grass back there and some gravel, and there's actually a sunflower seed that grew up from our bird seed, right? So we have a bird feeder, and there's some sunflower seeds. One dropped down there early in the season. It's grown. There's a big flower on there. Looks great. Underneath that, a lot of yellow jackets were just sort of flying around. They weren't like going into a specific hole or anything, but they were just around. Maybe like you'd see like 8 or so at a time, but there were others that were sort of like milling about, congregating in the rocks. And, these are yellow jackets. I haven't been stung in a long time, but, it hurts. You don't want to get stung. My wife just put up a hummingbird feeder in that bird sort of zone over there. And of course, anything that's going after the sweet nectar is going to check out the hummingbird feeder. The yellow jackets are checking out the hummingbird feeder, and I sort of looked to see if anything was dripping, and it didn't look like it. And of course, under the sunflower, the leaves are broad and it's really shaded under there, so I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what to do with them. My wife was like, I've read some stuff. You may be able to drown them out, and like water them. But I don't think they have like a nest in there. I think they're just exploring. The reason why I'm telling you all this random shit that seems to be unrelated to keyword research is this is a thing that might spawn me to look into a specific niche. So you can do this yourself when you're going about your day, struggling through life, trying to figure out how to solve certain problems. Maybe it's something about a household appliance that you're having an issue with and you're trying to figure out how to fix it. Or maybe you have some yellow jackets that are potentially scouting the area in your yard to build a nest. So I'll figure it out eventually, but I woke up fairly early this morning, and at night when it cools off, they're not supposed to be as active, but those bastards were up pretty early and they were already exploring around a little bit more. So I may have to wake up earlier and figure out some other options to take care of them. If anyone has tips on that, please let me know. Especially like if there was a hole and I saw them going into it, it's like, boom, all right, I know they have a nest in there, and then there's things you could do to potentially get rid of them there. But in this case, they're just around. And I don't know what to do with that exactly. I did actually turn on the sprinkler this morning for a little while, and some of them flew away, but I think mainly I was just watering the sunflower, which looks pretty cool, actually. I mean, the sunflower worked great. So, okay, I'm going to say hello to a few more people. We have Mosh, what's going on? Zolkwarnan from Manchester. Afnan from Pakistan, what's going on? One Path and some folks out of Bangladesh. And Mosh says, I need keyword research tools free. And that's my whole point. I mean, everyone, they're like, how can I do this the cheapest way? And I understand if you have to watch your budget. Maybe you have to work as a freelancer for a little while until you earn some money to pay for the tools. But it really slows you down if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to try and use a free website. I'm going to try to do this without tools. I'm going to try and use the free version of a tool. It's just going to take you so much longer and be frustrating. Dan's on, and so is David. David's one of our kind moderators, so thanks, David, for hopping on. And Ahmed is here too. So let's go ahead and start thinking about a niche to get into here. The other thing that I'll mention, quick shout out to Ezoic and their product called Leap. It'll help your website load faster. They sponsor some of these live streams and make it possible. I don't run ads typically. I do these live reads, and I think it's a little better than having to watch ads. So I typically don't monetize very many of the videos at all. And Ezoic makes it possible. So that Leap tool will help your site load faster and get green scores for the core web vitals, which is something I've actually been struggling with the last several weeks or so. But I think I have revamped a few things, and I started to use a different caching plugin, and I started to use a different CDN, and I think that has taken care of the problem. You could check it out over at nichesiteproject.com and check out any of the pages and how fast they load. They should load pretty fast. So Leap will help you do it. And Leap is actually free for anyone that's monetizing using Ezoic. There's a link in the description. They don't have any page view minimums or anything like that. They actually have a program to help people get into monetizing with Ezoic, even with a young site or a site with that's basically brand new, essentially. So it's worth checking out and get that set up even before you have any traffic coming to your site. All right, and Andre and Dan, what's going on? Okay, so now let us check out KWFinder, which I should be able to, boom. All right, so we have KWFinder here, and I didn't notice specifically if anyone mentioned a niche. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait for that for a second, but I know Need Mo Fishin asked about this tool and being able to import keywords, basically import a list of keywords so that you can just get the data from the tool. So let's check it out. I know that is possible. So we'll go to the app, which we are already there. So it's always fun. Okay, import right there. So you can import a text file or a CSV, drag the whole list, or you can paste them down here. So very straightforward, very easy. I don't have a list of keywords to demonstrate or anything like that. But once you do this, you can process the keywords. So someone might be thinking, well, why might you do that? So there are other tools that you can go and get like a long list of keywords that may or may not be viable. So that might be something like Keyword Shitter, which goes and gives you a huge list of keywords, and then you could put them into this import feature and get all the data that you want. Now, it might be a good idea to filter through those first before you pump it into a tool and just have all that random data that may not be viable. But you potentially can also use a tool like Answer the Public to get keyword ideas, and then you may be able to import like a list of questions about your topic and then get the data here. So that could be a way to do it. And you know what, we didn't talk about doing this, but it's fun to do this on the fly. So give me 1 second and we'll actually head over to Answer the Public and check this out and see if it'll work. So give me 1 second here. And so Answer the Public sort of aggregates a lot of information. I think you get 3 searches per day as I talk about not using the free option. So I'm going to type in yellow jacket and see what people are asking about. And then we'll import some of the keywords and see what happens. So it's working down here. You can see it's gathering keywords, gathering data, all that stuff here. All right, so we have 69 questions here, which should be enough to make some, get data, right? We'll be able to get data. I don't want to download the whole CSV, but yeah, you have this cool sort of graphical representation, and that is fine. I'm going to click on data. As we scroll down here, I was hoping, oh, you know what? We'll see if it downloads the whole thing. Okay. Well, it looks like it downloaded everything, which is fine. We'll just see what happens. And then, so you can get a bunch of keywords from a external source like that, and then you could drag it into this tool. That didn't work. It actually pulled in. All right, let's clear that. I needed it to go into. All right, I'm going to choose the file here. And hopefully that's going to work. It looks like maybe it's not loving the format that this is in. So we'll just have to press on and not stall too much. So heading back, I did see a couple people mention some niches out there. So let's take a look. Anthony is on also talking about car covers. Someone says baby videos keyword need. What the fuck does that mean? Please research and send me data Gmail. So one thing that I should point out is this is more of like a demo, right? So this is more of a demo, and Mosh, it's less of me doing keyword research for you and emailing it to you. So I won't be doing that. And your keyword idea doesn't really make sense to me. We can explore certain things if you want to clean it up and if you want to write down some of the keywords, that'll be cool. But I certainly won't be sending you the list of them just because that's not the purpose of this. It's more about education, not doing work for you, which wouldn't be very helpful for anyone, right? We want to teach people stuff. So Anthony says something about car covers. Can you give me a little bit more information on that? I'm not super familiar with that or other aspects of it. So we will just start off, and I'll just put in car cover and see what we end up with. So we're targeting the US and we'll aim for English, and then you find the keywords. So once that gets rolling there, and I just set it for the US right here, and then English, and put in car cover, which gets 67,400 searches per month, and it's fairly competitive, but most likely we want to find some more specific details, specific uses for the car covers. So there's leather seat covers, there's different types of seat covers. Those come in heated seat covers. So a lot of those, and I'm sure there's some sort of like large cover to completely cover a car. So I don't know what other like details we might put in there, but one thing, since this is generally a buyer's keyword situation, you can filter. So I'll open up this filter and I have best in here. I won't look for any other sort of filters. So I will click set filter, and then we end up with 19 keywords that have best in there and something related to car covers. So these are, seat covers primarily here. We have a seat protector, neoprene seat covers, best car cover for extreme sun. So I think that might be what we're getting towards. So you should be able to notice that there's this KD, the keyword difficulty here. And that gives you an idea how competitive it is. And from there, right, you also can potentially notice that some of these are sort of grayed out a little bit. They're not quite as up to date, basically. So best car cover material has 28 listed, but that's all the way back from January. So if you click on that keyword, it'll actually refresh and give you fresher data. So we see the KD is 26. Now, one of the things I really like about KWFinder is this SERP view over here. So it gives you like this competitive information right off the bat in this historical trend line from like Google Trend and the monthly searches. So you can actually see this is something that's getting more popular over, well, it doesn't show it there very well, but if we look at the monthly searches starting at 2015, we can see there's more searches as time goes on. It's a little bit seasonal there. And 26 is, still relatively easy. You can see the other sites that are ranking in the top 10 are here. And this is one of the very helpful things. So this means you don't have to Google the term and then head over to the website and see what's going on. You can just look here and you'll have the DA, the PA, which is the domain authority, the page authority, the citation flow and trust flow, and number of links, any Facebook shares, and the LPS, which is link profile strength. And that gives you an idea like the strength of those links. And carcovers.com, it has a relatively, respectable domain authority at 38, but the number one thing ranking there only has one link, not very much. And then this guide to detailing, same deal, not very many links, even though it has a pretty strong domain. So we see sort of a mix through the top 10. Some of these have a lot of links, and we really don't see any sites that are really low DA. Some of them have very high DA. In fact, here's a 76. So another one we can look at is this extreme sun. So I'm curious, since this one has a lower keyword difficulty, overall it may just have like a lower, less competitive situation here. So as we scroll down, we see some powerful sites, and then some sites that are not as powerful, and several that don't have very many links really at all. Some of them do have a lot of links, like this one has 11,000 CNET, so in carcovers.com. So just looking at this, it maybe is more competitive than it initially appears, but there's a good chance that you can adapt it and take a look and see, like, do all of these results actually provide the details and information that the person is looking for, the searcher. So let's scroll down and look for a couple others here. Waterproof seat covers. That sounds interesting. And it shows to be fairly competitive at a 38. So as we scroll through, I'll just check a couple others to see if there's any really low. And the thing is, just because it has a low KD or a high KD, it doesn't mean that it's definitely good or definitely bad. You do have to look at the SERPs to see what's going on. Sometimes things are ranking in the SERPs that don't actually answer the query directly, and Google potentially would rank your site or your page over whatever's listed. So last one here, best seat protector. So that's a 28. And again, kind of a mix. Some of them don't have many links, but there aren't any specific sites that look like they completely don't have any links at all, or they're like brand new. So we are filtered right now. Remember, we are filtered on best. So let's go back to the filter and look for informational keywords by looking at how. So we'll put how in there, and that should give us some other information. And none. There aren't any showing up for this. So what we can do is, so I'll set filter. I'll turn that off, and then I'll click questions here to see if any questions come up based on car cover. So here we have 59, and then it'll tell us a bunch of different questions that pop up, and KWFinder is smart enough to see and understand which queries are questions. So we can go through and filter based on this. So I will actually sort this by the search volume to give us an idea just how many searches are out there. So how often to wash a car. That's 950 searches, and that's a 24. Interesting. And what does car shield cover? So that's kind of an incomplete sentence. I'm not sure that'd be a good one. How often, or how to wash a car cover. That's an interesting one. I bet that's kind of a low competition. So it's a 21 and 250 searches per month. So you can see, like, even if you don't know much about it, you can get some idea of keywords that you could approach. And this is an interesting one. How to cover car windows for sleeping. 210 searches and a difficulty of 15. So this is one where you look through and you see, well, these are potentially some brand new sites. Now YouTube is ranking number 1, but we have sleepinginacar.com, 2 roaming souls, and Instructable. So the first few things that are ranking actually don't have very authoritative domains. A lot of the other ones do, but it's just interesting to note that these are, either very young or just sites that are generally not optimized. So, and last one, see, keyword research is kind of fun once you get into it. So how to cover car windows for privacy, very similar. We have 10 for the KD. And then again, when you go and look through here, you end up seeing very low authority, very low link profile strength, which is pretty cool. And then, like I said, it can get pretty fun as you're like scrolling through here and you're like, oh, it doesn't look like there's very many searches on this, but gosh, there's not really much competition at all. So I'm going to hop back over to the chat and see what kind of conversation we have going on over there. I know some people had some questions, and Zolkornan says, any possibility to explain how we should write the article according to the latest Google updates, means articles layout. Do you think it will still be the same as you've published on your website? Yes, I do. So you can go to nichesiteproject.com and you can sign up for the email list. I'll send you all my templates and any systems that I use. I'll also point you in the direction of helpful information. Some of that helpful information is Amazon affiliate review template and layout. And I think that's what Zolkornan is talking about. And basically, I don't think any of the updates impact at all the layout of the content. And I think that's one of those things. Like, I've essentially been doing very close to the same thing for several years. And I haven't tried to jump onto anything that's too trendy or, try this new thing out. I know I've had people tell me, oh yeah, you got to change everything over to H3 tags or something. Like H2 tags don't work anymore and you got to change everything. And I never followed up, which is literally something that someone told me before. So I generally don't try to do anything like that where it's susceptible to algorithm changes, especially where it's like taking your mind and your goal away from the end user. So when you're thinking about how you want to format content, or someone asked me a question the other day about whether or not they should combine two keywords together into one article or have different separate articles. When you are trying to outsmart Google, you're probably just guessing, right? You don't know exactly how Google is going to treat something. So what I like to do is just take a step back and think about whether or not it's going to help the end user. What is the searcher actually searching for? Does your answer help that searcher? And if not, then you end up making decisions based on what you think Google's going to do. So to answer your question, just write the articles the same that you have been. Elise says, oh, try tennis. So yeah, maybe I'll check out tennis in a second. Oh, someone said fish tanks. So dedication says Amazon is coming. Does it show that the competition is low? I don't know what that means. And then dedication says, kindly don't focus on the strength of the domains only. Go to the SERP and see if the content is actually serving the intent. So I don't know if that was advice to me or to the group, but okay. All right. Elise says, do you think you should be snippet optimized for every H2 tag that you write? And do tables and graphics giving you an edge? So probably not. You probably shouldn't optimize every single H2 if it makes sense for the user. So I'll default back to the answer that I just gave. So if you stop thinking like, hey, how can I outsmart Google here, and just think about the end user, just aim for that. That is probably going to be the best. Now, if you end up optimizing every H2 tag, then that's okay. But I wouldn't overdo it. It's really easy to overdo. So the danger with that is if I say, yes, you should be snippet optimized, that might lead you, right? If you ignore the context of everything else, that might lead you to keyword stuff and over optimize for your subheadings, which would be bad. And then you further ask, what about tables and graphics? Do they give you an edge? I think it's not a bad idea. If you have a lot of tables and you have a lot of graphics, especially custom graphics, not stock images, those are going to be pretty good. Those could show up in search. You might get snippets just based on that. Afnan says, have I used rank math? I have. I started using it more recently here. Seems fine. I'd prefer to use fewer plugins, but I definitely like rank math better than Yoast or all-in-one SEO or the other tools. So that's the one. Oh, and Dedication says, it's a friendly note that we should go to the SERP and see if the answer is exactly what the searcher is searching for. Yes, exactly. Okay. And the context is important. Definitely agree with that. So that's the idea. When you find a keyword that you think is good, you should go and Google the term and see what results pop up. You might find something that looks to be competitive or has a high competitive difficulty based on the metrics of tools, and you may go and look and think, well, it looks like the results don't actually match up. So Dedication, that is exactly right. You should always look, even if it's supposed to be very low competition, you should still look. You might find that it's actually not as easy as it appears. And we have OnePath says the best free website for finding keywords for Google Store. So I assume that any free keyword research tool will work for whatever you're looking for. So I've never done keyword research for Google Store, so I don't know the answer to that. But if you're looking for specific search metrics for within Google Store, I don't know that you can get that data. So I don't know. And then the other part is, I'll emphasize it again, I really encourage everyone to try to save up enough money to be able to use the premium tools, because it'll save you so much time and frustration. I know it's easy for me to say, but as I mentioned before, maybe you pick up a couple freelancing jobs so that you have enough money to pay for a month or two of a tool. A lot of times the tools will have a free trial, so you actually could go to KWFinder and use the free trial, and then you can go to SEMrush, go to Ahrefs. You can use these different tools, and if you stack them all together, you'll potentially get about a month of free usage and data. Now the downside is you don't continue to hone your skills on the one tool. So if you just use one tool all the time, you'll get more proficient with it, and it'll be easier to do things just in general. So, and like I said, I haven't done any research specifically for Google Store. So let's get back to demo stuff. And someone mentioned tennis. So one thing we can do, we'll do tennis. And I don't want to do, actually, yeah, let's not do questions again. I'll do related keywords, but I'll put in tennis Rackets. Should we do rackets? I can't see underneath there. So that's working there, and actually it was already selected for questions, so that's what we have here off the bat. So a lot of these are how much do they cost, how long do they last, so that one could be a little more interesting. And you'll notice we had this magnifying glass here, so it means it needs to go search for it. It doesn't have that data. So this is 80 searches per month, and it's only a 10 keyword difficulty. So we have My Tennis HQ, Racket Stringers, Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Predict. And yeah, I mean, overall, this looks relatively low competition. You can see all the green here for the link profile strength. Some stronger domains, but there's also some, pretty young domains. So we have racketstringers.com, and that would be, that looks to be a very young site. Very young site. All right, let's look at a couple others down here, and you'll notice so many of these don't have a difficulty score. So questions are really great to build a website around, especially from the informational side. So how many tennis rackets do professionals use? So it's only 10 searches per month, but it's a 13. So you literally could build a site based on questions about tennis, and I only looked at like tennis rackets, right? You can put in other accessories or equipment and have so many more keywords pop up. So we'll also do autocomplete. So that'll take a second to run through here. Anthony says, if you have Ahrefs, do you need to use KWFinder? You can get away with using the keyword research functions on Ahrefs, and those are really good to do competitive analysis. However, I actually really like to use KWFinder, and I think KWFinder is more of a pure keyword research tool that gives me the stuff that I need here in an easier format to deal with. Ahrefs is a full suite of marketing tools. So very useful. I mean, their backlink directory is, or I guess database, not a directory, that is superior. But the thing is, for this kind of keyword research, I actually do prefer KWFinder. So do you need to have them both? No, you don't. You don't need to have them both. And you can get some backlink information or do competitor analysis using KWFinder, which I'll show you in a second. You can look up keywords by the domain. So tennis rackets, let's see here. So we're at the autocomplete, and I'm going to scroll down and see if there's anything that looks relatively. It's tennis rackets carry on luggage. So these seem to be a little bit tough. Let me sort these and go for the low competition, low search volume. Do tennis rackets wear out? Less. Tennis racket under 50. So one thing I do like to do is to have buyers related keywords. So if you don't have a buyers related like prefix like best, you might end up in a situation where it's really hard to rank against these bigger websites, right? So when I look over here, it's Dick's Sporting Goods, Tennis Express, NY Mag, Wilson.com, Tennis Warehouse. These are all e-commerce shops. So if I am not an e-commerce shop, it'll be pretty hard for me to rank against the e-commerce shops. So if I have an affiliate site, it'll be hard to rank against them. So let's check out the filter, and we could put in best. We could put in best, and we'll set the filter, and we're also handicapped here because we have autocomplete on. So let me try this again. Let me turn it off, and then I'll type in best here. So we'll have best tennis racket, and we'll do autocomplete. I'll take a second to figure all this out. Hopefully I did that right. And Get Jacket says, I can't believe I found your channel. Fantastic. You love the content. Quick question, KWFinder or Keyword Chef? Good question. So two things. Number one, I'm an affiliate for both of those. I did a demo in Keyword Chef last week, and then I'm doing the demo on KWFinder. So I get a commission if you buy the products. Now, it depends on what you're trying to do. So, couple things. If you're just asking me which one, like if you want to get one keyword research tool, I would say go for KWFinder. It does more stuff. It does more stuff for you. It's a more mature tool. It's older. It has more features. There's a suite of other products that are under the same website as KWFinder, Mangools tools. I don't know if they meant it to rhyme like that or if I'm completely mispronouncing it, but KWFinder is more feature rich. There's just more stuff because it's an older tool. It's been around for a while and there's, many thousands of users. It is going to be more expensive and you'll either have to have a monthly fee or pay annually, right? So it'll be a little bit more expensive. Those extra features are not free. The Keyword Chef tool is pretty new. It does very simple and straightforward keyword research. It'll give you the information that you need. And one of the great advantages is it filters with preset recipes. So Ben Adler, a friend of mine, he basically came up with a bunch of different things, different filters that he likes to use, and then it's built into the tool. So if you went over to Keyword Chef and typed in tennis racket, you'd end up potentially with a lot closer to what we're looking for with questions and best of and all that stuff. You wouldn't have to go through and manually put in these filters. So we get more data here potentially on KWFinder, but we have to filter it manually. And then we see I actually need to do this again. So best tennis racket. We'll try to get this autocomplete again. We'll see if I did it in the wrong order. So it depends on your budget and what you're trying to do. The good thing is both KWFinder and Keyword Chef have free trials, so you can check it out. And Get Jacket says, oh, you just signed up with my link, so really appreciate it. Eric does give a vote of confidence. What's going on, Eric? That you like the interface of KWFinder, and I am doing well. Thank you. Okay. So now with KWFinder, we have best tennis racket, and then it's running through the autocomplete here. So we have 226 keywords, and most likely these are going to be really good keywords. So I am going to sort by the search volume, and we see, it looks like some of these could be low competition and fairly significant search volume. So best tennis racket for beginners is 3,300 searches, 27 KD. For women, and that is a 21. So, and that is 950 searches per month. Best tennis racket intermediate, 930 searches, is 16. So these are great if anyone's actually in the tennis niche. Best tennis racket brand, 510 searches with a 21. So when I look over here, you do see some younger sites, very few links. Tennis Warehouse is a e-commerce shop, and you're probably going to find some others in here, but there are some sites that you can compete with. Best tennis racket under 100. So that's 240 searches and 12 for the KD. So we're in a spot where there's a lot of pretty good keywords here. And again, you could pretty much do this for any niche. Best, whatever the product is, and then use the autocomplete feature here. And then that'll just do all that work for you. All right, so that is a great way to find keywords. And then we'll just check on questions here. So sometimes this is not going to work out as good for questions because we had best in there. So we have 22 listed. And you may end up in a spot where it's very similar. So it's the same keywords we saw before, but now they're phrased like a question, like Jeopardy. So what's the best tennis racket for beginners? Where before it was best tennis racket for beginners. What's the best tennis racket for an intermediate player? And before that was just best tennis racket intermediate. So these searches are going to be much lower. And these are the ones you may have to look out for. Like you may see this and think, oh, this is a very low competition keyword. But really, if you look at the SERPs for the other keyword that we found before, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So that's why you should Google the term, especially if you identify the fact that we have a question keyword phrase versus like the non-question version, but the searcher intent is exactly the same. My hunch is if you looked at the SERPs here, you would find virtually the same 10 results or so. So I'm going to wait for some more questions to come in. My voice is getting a little bit scratchy, so I'm going to take a short break here and get a word from a sponsor. Let me grab that file. And if you do have questions, please do put them in the chat so I can get to them when we come back in just a moment. So this is from ODYS Global, ODYS. Thanks to ODYS, your source for age domains with strong branding and powerful backlinks. The featured domain for this week is gamer20.com. They reviewed video games for different consoles and that sort of thing back in the day, and it covered the latest in industry news as well as hosting an active forum for discussion around gaming, as you might imagine. So this one, I'm going to look at the purchase price is a little under $5,000 over at ODYS. They have a value. The ODYS value is about $17,800, and they base that on the age of the domain, the number of referring backlinks, the high authority backlinks, and then the GoDaddy appraisal. So this is a pretty cool domain overall. I know gaming is pretty big. In fact, people email me and say, hey, I'm into gaming. Maybe I could build a site around that. So I know not only is there a lot of interest because people are into gaming, but also there are people that have already started these sites. So this domain would be perfect to integrate into a site that you already have. It was created back in 2007, so it's 14 years old. The domain rating is checking in at 26 these days. The domain authority is 37, and of course, it's a short, brandable name with a keyword in there, which is always fantastic. So I think probably the best route overall is if you already have a site in the gaming niche and you're able to just plug this one in, take over all those backlinks, which are substantial. They're pretty fantastic. Now, if you already have a site in the gaming niche, you already know how you're going to be monetizing it. Probably ads are going to be fantastic display ads. Sponsored content is probably going to work pretty well. And of course, you could be an affiliate for the consoles, other accessories that people might use for gaming, headphones and other. I'm not a gamer. I don't know. I could throw in and make up some stuff or look at sites, but basically there's plenty of products that you could choose from, but there's a lot of different ways to monetize. And just the news around gaming is huge. So quick review of the domains that we have here. So about 360 referring domains, 210 of those are do follow. There are roughly 3,500 plus do follow backlinks from those 210 referring domains. And these are very good backlinks, so very niche relevant backlinks. We have links from wired.com, playstation.com, gameranks.com, and many, many more. So if you are interested, it's worth checking out. Or if you're not interested in the gaming domain, you could always head over to ODYS, apply for an account. If you apply with my affiliate link, then you get $100 into your account, which is pretty cool. And one thing I noticed when I was browsing around in here, there's another site that's around gaming. So Australian Gamer obviously is centered around the Australian geography. However, I think if you had a look, there's a good chance you probably could acquire both of these if you had a little change. I mean, that's going to be probably over $10,000 if you get both of these, but you're talking about adding a huge amount of value and history, backlinks, all that stuff to boost your domain up. So thanks to ODYS. If you haven't checked them out, it's ODYS, and appreciate them sponsoring the show. I'm glad I figured out to record those spots ahead of time. It gives my voice a little bit of a rest. So any other questions for keyword research or KWFinder? And we could pop back over and just go through a few others here. So one cool thing, so I'm going to go back to some of these very low competition keywords we found before. So we'll go back to the autocomplete, which will take a second to refresh. And it does go pull all the data. So it does take I mean, this is in real time. So it takes about, was that 20 seconds or so? Not too long. So we have the autocomplete. We'll go ahead and sort, and we'll find some of these that were really low that we found before. So best tennis racket under 100. So this is very useful. So everyone watch, pay attention. So we see racketlounge.com and a few others. I mean, really the top 3 here are fairly low authority in general, especially the first 2. The number 1 ranked post here is no links is what we see. So I'm going to open it up here, and we see there's a lot of different it's a racket lounge, so racket related keywords here. So this is a very long post. There's a lot of different rackets listed here, 10 of them it looks like. So pretty nice. One thing you can do is take that URL, and then you could pop over and search by domain. So we identified a sort of a site here, Racket Lounge, that is ranking with very low authority, and is ranking for at least one of these keywords, number 1. So you can enter in the domain here. I'm going to take out the other stuff, and then I'll hit the search. So it's searching for keywords by the domain. So it's telling us, 1,000 keywords. That is enough to, get some good information, and we can see the different keywords and where it's ranking. So one thing that might be helpful is to filter. So we do have quite a lot of keywords we're looking at there. So we have the keywords and the SERP position. So what I would suggest is you look for keywords that are ranking pretty high, right? Because we're seeing that this site is ranking for those keywords, even though it's very young and low authority. So we'll look for things in the top 5 positions and see how many we end up with. So 340, which is a lot, they are ranking for outdoor pickleball courts near me. They're ranking number 1. And other pickleball related things are ranking very high. So it's kind of cool, kind of a location-based keyword, pretty low KD number. And, funny thing, I guess pickleball has blown up during COVID. So you can see no one cared about pickleball so much in 2019, early 2020, it got popular. And then boom, now we're sitting here in like May of 2021 is what it's listed, and it's like 3-4 times as many searches as it used to be. Very interesting. Okay, so a lot of those, and we have best tennis shoes for wide feet, 450 searches, 20, right? So the point is, you find a site that is ranking for something and it doesn't have very high metrics, and then you can reverse engineer the keywords. Fairly straightforward, right? And then here's one, tennishunters.com. It is also a fairly, low authority website. So this is one that you could do the same things again, right? So tennishunters.com, and then you just do this process a couple times and you end up with a bunch of keywords that potentially are fairly easy to rank for. So let's see if there's anything else. Best pressureless tennis balls. They're ranking number 1, 120 searches, KD 15. So again, you just do this again and again. Fairly straightforward, and you could do it all with the tool. And FW Alex says, what software is this? Is it a paid one? The answer is yes, it is paid. You can get a free trial though. It's called KWFinder. It is the title of the video that you're watching, so it should be fairly easy. There's a link in the show notes. I'm an affiliate, so I get a commission if you sign up. And again, this is it's very powerful once you kind of get the handle on how to do this. So best spin ping pong paddle. They're ranked number 3, 260 searches, and it's a 22 difficulty. So again, as you go through here, there's different sites ranking for all of these different things. So you end up in a spot where you can iterate on this over and over again. Pretty cool. Best shoes for badminton. They rank 5 and 460 searches. So there's a badminton website. There's badminton websites, other racket related things, Racket Sports Center. Let's look at a couple more and we'll finish up. Let's see if we could find a really nice one here. Best lightweight tennis racket. They rank number 2, 50 searches. It's a 17, and the same kind of stuff that I've been mentioning. There's these low ranking websites, tennisfocuson.com. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. Phil asks, do I use Keyword Chef anymore? Yeah, I use several keyword research tools. I use Ahrefs occasionally, and it's interesting doing these videos and having a YouTube channel, right? There are several tools that I use. There's even more tools that I don't use. By the way, a lot of people, they're like, hey, I came up with this great tool. Can you demo it? Will you partner with me? Can you tell me what you would do with it? And frankly, I don't have time to look at all the little projects that people are working on. They should continue with it, but I just don't have time to go and do that. And then there's a lot of tools that suck and I don't use them. Some of them I don't talk about. There's also a bunch of tools that are great and I don't use those either. However, the ones that I do use occasionally, like Keyword Chef or KWFinder, Ahrefs, I'll often share information or I'll use them in a demo in some capacity. So Phil, I use Keyword Chef, yes. I use KWFinder. Those are probably my 2 primary keyword research tools that have their own, this is basically a SaaS. I also use Keywords Everywhere, and I think Dan mentioned Keywords Everywhere. Keywords Everywhere is a browser extension, and I've used that for several years, and it's great because it puts in the data in your SERPs. It lays on top of a lot of other tools that we use. So it's super helpful in that way. So I think we will finish up. I made it through most of the questions here. If you want to check out KWFinder, number 1, there's a free trial. You could follow the link in the description. If you actually sign up, use my discount code. You can save 10%. I get a commission, which I greatly appreciate, but you save 10%. And if you're in a spot where you can't pay for a keyword research tool, I encourage you to save up until you can pay for one of the tools. Now, in the meantime, maybe you sign up for a trial using some of the different tools and figure out which one you like best. There's a wide range of prices, and Keyword Chef is great because it really simplifies the usage, but you have sort of limited options. So it's easier to use, a little bit faster in certain capacities, but you also don't have to pay or sign up for like a monthly fee. You just pay as you go. So that gives you a little more I guess freedom, it feels a little better. So next, a Nomad Overseas says, which KWFinder package would you recommend? Is the basic option okay for a standard user, or do you recommend the premium one? I use the premium one, but to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about all the differences, and I don't think I can quickly look and figure that out. But I would encourage you, probably, I'm pretty like conscious about expenses, so I would recommend probably use the standard version first and test drive it for a little while and see if it does everything that you need, or if you find that you need to get more information. And if so, and if that premium option delivers it for you, then go for that. Now, one last thing with KWFinder that's super cool that, Keyword Chef, doesn't have this capability. So there's a browser extension for KWFinder. So you can click on, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Nope, unfortunately you can't see it, but you can click on, well, first you have to install the browser extension, and it'll give you an overview for a specific domain and the URL. So you can get the domain authority, the page authority, citation flow, and trust flow for the overall domain. You can see the Alexa rank. You can show data for the exact specific URL and understand what is going on. You can see the keywords that URL is ranking for. You can see the backlinks. You can't see any of this that I'm describing right now, but this browser extension is fantastic. You can see the on-page SEO information, including the headings, the on-page keywords, outbound links, page speed, structured data, and so on. Again, you can't see any of this, but this browser extension is fantastic. There's also rank tracking capabilities in the browser extension. So if you have a paid account for Mangools and KWFinder, then you can use the browser extension, and it's one that I use all the time. It's extremely helpful for competition research. So I got to finish it up here, but I want to give a thanks to everyone who showed up. If you could do me a favor, one thing, I'm trying to get more people over to the podcast, so check out The Doug Show. I talk about a lot of the same topics. I interview people who are doing interesting things, other like peers, other people that run maybe like content agencies, or they have a portfolio of sites or something like that. And then there's a lot of interviews with people just like you from the audience. So from the audience, I will interview success stories. Sometimes people are working through something, and I talk to all those kind of people. So really appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe to check out other videos and all that stuff. And if you just hopped on, I'm jetting for now, but we'll see you next week.